Cameron Parish, in one word, to me would be heaven. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. You know, every day I feel I've died and gone to heaven, especially when I come to work. I work at a fantastic place. I work with really good people. I think we're doing really good work.
Once you've lived here, I don't think you want to move away. I feel that way, you know, even after all the years I've been here. They've been good years for me and my family, so that's about all you can ask for in life. Yes. And we do put up with the hurricanes. I've been through 3 of them. The thing about this area is we just pick up and we go on. You know, we don't wait on anybody else to do it for us.
I think anybody that would not lived here was to come, they would never regret it. It's a whole different part of another world, and I've seen a lot of other places, been to the mountains and got to see a lot of beautiful country, but when I get back to South Louisiana, there's nothing like it. I treasure being here.
Can you please state your full name?
Ella Mae Booth.
How do people know you?
By T. Mae. Nobody knows my real name.
What do you do here?
I work. I am the owner of Booth's Grocery. 1957. My uncle had a store before, and he didn't want to rebuild. The next store is maybe 10 miles from here. Well, there wasn't any more stores, so I decided I'll build one and see if I'm doing any good or not. So I did pretty good. I like to talk to people, and I see a lot of people. They come from all over the world, really. Germany, Switzerland. I just like to hear different stories. And there's a lot of different stories. Oh, that book is people that comes in, where are they from? Yep. And I have a bunch of these books ever since I opened the store. Oh, I have a cat named Donnie. I don't let her stay in the store. She'll come through the store to go to her room, but she doesn't stay in the store. I don't remember how long I've been having her. 8 or 9 years, I guess. Quite a few years.
What's going to happen in the store?
Well, I guess when I die, I'll close it. It will close. I don't think any of my kids want it. Well, it's just a nice place to be living in because it's a good parish, and I like all the people in it, too.
Philip Luke Trosclair III, nicknamed Scooter. Grew up here at Cameron Parish and here in Grand Cheniere. My favorite memory of Cameron Parish is growing up as a kid and being involved with the family way of life. And the seasonal patterns, we'd start in the wintertime as trapping, which was just a huge family involvement, and seeing everybody work together. You know, my dad would come in with the fur in the morning, and you know, after school we'd unstretch fur or we stretch fur. You know, that would rotate into the springtime when fishing down here was phenomenal. I can recall many a times as a kid taking soft shell crabs and shrimp, select shrimp, and bringing it to my grandmother and just having a feast almost every afternoon. I lived like a king. It was fantastic. And so it was a full-time involvement all year round, and you didn't have to drive 2 hours, you didn't have to drive an hour. It was right here in your backyard. My family had a shrimping business in Cameron, and it was a 24-hour deal, and the amount of fish that were brought into the facility was phenomenal, that can be produced just in one area, that would supply so many other places with shrimp, crabs, and also saltwater fish. Red snapper and so forth. I could never actually see leaving this place. I can recall my first day at college, the major professor had asked, why did you pick this field? And I remember with a simple answer coming back and saying, I know nothing else. We here are involved with the wildlife that exists, and so by understanding and being able to manage the wildlife, I don't know where else I could work, because there's so much abundance of wildlife species here on the Cheniere, here in Grand Cheniere. It just offers so much of an opportunity that I could not find anywhere else, so I could never see leaving this place. You know, we try to lend a helping hand where we can and maintain what's here. And some of that is the culture. And we're hoping that that will rebound and come back, and the next generation of kids can capture just enough knowledge from the existing families to pass that tradition on, so we can have this heritage and culture continue to exist here for what Cameron Parish is known for.
My name is Claire Marceau. I didn't decide to live here. I think I was chosen for this place. My grandparents, my dad's parents, moved to Cameron in the early 50s before Hurricane Audrey, and my grandfather worked for the Superior Oil Company. My mother's parents left southern Georgia because of a shrimping boom here in Cameron, and they came in the early 60s. And I'm the only child born from that union, from that marriage of my parents. I think that I have a special purpose, and that is to help see Cameron Parish reach its full potential. Because my maternal grandparents were fisheries people and my paternal grandparents were oil and gas people, I think that I have to find ways to benefit both of those industries right here in Cameron Parish. I think my favorite memory of Cameron Parish is being about 9 years old, and I was in dance class with a woman named LaDonna, and we would meet at the Woodman of the World every week. And the first year that I got to participate in the Fur Festival as a dancer, I felt like I was a tiny speck in a sea of people walking down Main Street in Cameron. It was an amazing feeling. I remember the color of the sweatsuits we wore. I remember the crispness in the air. And I remember thinking that I was a tiny part of something much bigger than myself, and that was Cameron Parish.
My name is Rod Poole, born and raised here in Grand Lake.
My name is Andrew Martin. I'm the pastor of Grand Lake Faith Temple here. We've been pastoring here 37 years. We moved here March 25th, 1979.
We were across the bridge at the old Big Lake Gospel Tabernacle. For years we crossed that canal on a ferry. We got to talking about it at one time and said, you know what, maybe we need to relocate and get us a new church established on the other side of this canal. It wasn't long at all before this gentleman had talked to one of our members here in the church and said, I'd like to sell that piece of property near Boone's Corner. And it sparked right at that time. It really blossomed and really went to railroad, and all the guys got together.
When I moved here 37 years ago, there was hardly nothing here. There was nothing between Boone's Corner and Lake Charles. And I can remember, I said it the other day to someone, you didn't have to, be too careful to cross the road 37 years ago.
Yeah, I can remember when it was a shale road here, and it was so dusty at times you just couldn't hardly travel it.
Yeah.
The only store on the corner here was Boone's then. That's when I think gas was around 37 cents a gallon, which you didn't have 37 cents back then. I can remember when there wasn't much of anything here. And to see it where it is today is mind-boggling. It's just hard to believe.
It really is.
But we've come a long ways, really have. The culture here can never be replaced. I wouldn't want to even think about being anywhere else or doing anything else. And I think it's something that will never die or go away because it's been here too long. But I wouldn't take nothing for it, and it has made me what I am today. It's something that I don't think you're going to be able to find any place else in the world besides right here. And I'll always, in fact, I'll never take it for granted for the culture that I've been able to be raised in.
My name's Patrick Hebert. I lived here at Hebert's Landing all my life, except for 10 years in the military. My sister, Wilma, lives in Lake Charles now, but she's got time here too. I really love it here, and I'm not going anywhere. When my grandfather bought this property, he had to pay the bank back, so he sold lots in the area right here, and that's where Hebert's summer place developed. And we had people from Lake Charles, Welch, Jennings buy property and build camps, and that's how the subdivision started. When my grandfather first decided to sell a lot, it went for $400, 60 by 100. I think the last camp that sold was over $300,000.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on the water, it was on the back street. On the water, they cost more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a big change.
It's become more of a community all year round rather than just a summer community. It's developed into that. And yes, Rita did come through and cause a lot of them to go up. And when they did go up, they expanded their camps, or they made them more livable to where they could be out here all year round. I think the nature, the things that you don't see anywhere else pretty much in the United States is the marshlands that we have. People come down. We entertained some people from Nova Scotia at one time and took them riding down the nature trail down to Cameron, and they saw the lilies that were blooming in the marsh, and one of them wanted to get out and take pictures. The whole van full refused to get out because they had heard alligators come out and get you. So a lot of the misconceptions of alligators and how, is part of, I think, coming and seeing it, the beauty of the marsh, and I know it's flat land, but the flowers that bloom, and I just think, and the peacefulness and the wind and the beach. The beach is not our sandy white beach that we have in Florida, but it's still beach sand, and it's still the Gulf, and it's just, that's the main word I can use, is the peacefulness of the area.
And we have beautiful sunsets. We have beautiful sunsets out here in the evenings. We usually have a bunch of pelicans sitting out here on these posts out here, and it's beautiful. It's peaceful.
My name is Annie Mae Richard Santa, and I've been in Hackberry since 1944. My most memorable years was, I guess, the year I graduated from high school, which was Grand Cheniere High School. And then when I went to college, and I graduated LSU in 1941, and then I came to Hackberry and started teaching school in 43 and 44. That was my first year teaching school here in Hackberry. They were good kids. They were well raised by their family, and they were very good. Every once in a while you get a bad one, but in those days the teachers could whip them and straighten them out, but nowadays they can't do it anymore. And so I whipped a few in my days. And I got my degree in upper elementary from LSU. I came here during the war, and all the men were gone, and it was hard, they couldn't find no teachers. So the superintendent asked me, he said, "Anime, I see where you got a lot of English and a lot of social studies. He said, would you come to Hackberry and teach in high school and teach those?" I said, "Well, I can try, Mr. McCall." So then he says, "I saw Ms. Broussard had a lot of math, and I don't have a math teacher. You think we could get her to come?" I said, "Well, we can try." So we got in a boat, in a small boat, with the game warden, and went from Grand Cheniere to Pecan Island to ask Ms. Broussard if she'd come teach too. And she said, "Oh yeah, she'd come." And my sister had just graduated, so she was teaching the 6th grade. And then they got another teacher down there. She was a Miss Terrio, Leona Terrio. So he put her teaching in the 1st grade. And she didn't have her degree yet. She just had 2 years, but couldn't get any teachers. And we all lived together in Hackberry and got an apartment with 4 teachers living together. Yeah. My family were farmers, corn, and it was the main crop, and cotton. They farmed cotton, and they picked cotton and sold cotton. And I thought that was very interesting, so I wanted to pick cotton too, so I asked my mama to make me a sack. So she made me a sack, and I picked a few bolts of cotton, and that was enough.
That was enough?
Yeah, I didn't pick too many. A lot of difference when I was raised and how we raise our children today. Whenever it was dinner time or any meal, the family all ate together. They all ate at the table together. And then the stuff that was served at the table was cooked by your mother or your grandmother. All the vegetables and all the meats was stuff they had raised. And the only thing we went to the store for was coffee, sugar, and flour.
If you could tell anybody anything about Cameron Parish and Hackberry, what would you tell them?
I tell them it's a good place to live, and if you starve, it's your fault, because you can fish, crab, shrimp, or you can raise your cattle, raise your vegetables. It's a good place to raise a family.
I'm Cecil Sanner. I've been in Cameron Parish for over 70 years. Born in Lake Charles and raised in Hackberry. Went to school in Hackberry, graduated from McNeese University and LSU Law School. Came back to this area and started my law practice in 1971 after I got out of the United States Army. Since '71, I've maintained an office here in Hackberry 1 day a week, and the remainder of my time I'm in Lake Charles at my main office. When we were children, everything was very relaxed. You went without your shoes, you dressed as you wanted to. Things now are a little bit different. Fast times, a lot of outside forces that affect your childhood. It was different. My high school class was 23 people. I knew every one of them. We had an excellent class, very smart kids. Most everyone went to college, good academics, good sports. It was just a camaraderie of people who were 17 and 18 years old. My great-grandparents, Joseph and Josephine Ellender Vincent, homesteaded this place that you see right here, over 200 acres. They raised 14 children on this site. My grandmother married my grandfather, who was Raymond Sanner. My dad is his son. We're all from Hackberry. They were either raised here or born not far from here. So this is home to all of us. The old home place was built about 1849. When you walk in, you're going to see on the fireplace it says 1851. But we were told it was remodeled in 1851. So it's been in the Vinson family, oh God, 175 years, 180 years. So this was part of early land grant occupation. They raised cattle, that was the main occupation. Fruit trees, everything they had, they were self-containing. After Hurricane Rita, this place was here, but the roof was bad, it was leaking, so I decided I was going to do something about it. I had a contractor come in and said he could tear it down and rebuild it exactly like it was. Well, that didn't set too well. So I said, no, we're going to come in and we're going to restore it, we're going to rehabilitate it. And that's what we did. It took almost 3 years. I did the work, I contracted out a lot of the work, and what you see is a result of 3 years. Just by sitting here talking with you, if you look around, the birds, the bees, right here, one about to land on me, the level of stress is very low. If you can accomplish things in life without being too stressed out, that's what I would aim for.
My name is Kenny Trahan. I work for Targa Resources, in one of the plants down here.
You said the word.
Yeah, the one word I think is changing, because it's changing. It's changing for some older people would not like to change, and they're like, oh my God, what they doing now? What they doing now? But I mean, you got to kind of adapt with it and go, or you won't be here. You got to adapt to, you know, you have to. We're already adapted to the way we live as far as raising our houses up and everything, getting elevated to make the next storm. So, yeah, because some of us had been here a long time and our families have been here, and we're kind of diehards, we come back. The Trahan family has been here since the Civil War. I don't know what it is. It's just where you're from and what it is, and it just sticks with you, you know. Your ancestors were here, you know, and it draws you back. Me, it's a history part of the relics and stuff that I find that kind of helps me believe there really was something to the days of old. Sometimes you hear about history, but you really don't believe it. But if you can see something physical, you can kind of say, yeah, it really did happen. Yeah, they really did have soldiers here, you know. Or
my name is Wendy Harrington. I live in Johnson Bayou, Cameron Parish, Louisiana. And I am on the Preservation Alliance for Cameron Parish, which we oversee any historical type things that we'd like to see restored to its original value. The lighthouse was built in 1856. It started its construction for $30,000. It's 75 feet tall. It's got a little lean to it right now after a few hurricanes have done some damage to it. So it was constructed from brick and mortar and a shellcrete, which if you see in some of the pictures, you'll notice that it looks like concrete with a bunch of shells cracked up in it. The first lighthouse keeper, his name was Mr. Granger, and he received $600 a year, which in the 1800s, that's a good salary for, and his assistant lighthouse keeper got $300. The original house that was out there from the time that it was built and several times that it was destroyed and rebuilt, all the lighthouse keepers and their assistant lighthouse keepers and their families lived in this house on the property at all times. The lighthouse never went out of commission for 95 years. It always stayed lit except for a small period of time during the Civil War. We had several battles in Sabine Pass. There was several skirmishes or disagreements over who was going to control the lighthouse because of they wanted to control it so that they would have an appropriate lookout tower and be able to see from far away of, you know, any enemies coming. Like I said earlier, the lighthouse remained lit for 95 years. However, on the morning of May the 21st, 1952, due to modern technology, the Coast Guard decided to decommission the lighthouse, and Mr. Steve Purgy turned off the lighthouse for the last time. So in 2001, it was transferred to the Cameron Preservation Alliance, and we were able to start working on funds and other things to restore it. It's important to me because it's part of our history. It's not only part of Cameron Parish's history, but it's also part of the history of our nation. There was a lot of men and women that sacrificed days and nights and their children, and they would spend years out there. It wasn't just like you did this for one tour a year or a month. You did it for years. They raised their families out there. They homeschooled their children. There wasn't any, that's all they knew. You know, we have a luxury of going to town or going to market. They waited on a boat to bring them supplies or food or anything else because of where this lighthouse sits. So it's not just about the war or about the storms, but it's about the people that dedicated their life to being out there. It's about bringing the history back to the new generation and letting them know, hey, this is a part of you. This is what is in your blood.
Can you describe Cameron Parish in one word?
Home.
I was in the military, so the word we used there was outstanding.
And one word to describe our parish is changing. Probably went ahead of myself, but
Great.
Yes, it would have to be, great would be a good way to go with that.
Paradise.
One word.
I'd say it's great.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome.
Home. Home.
Describe Cameron Parish in one word.
Awesome.